Every sunrise across the African savanna begins another test of survival. As the first rays of sunlight spread across the endless grasslands, one of Africa's largest land animals slowly begins its daily journey. The white rhinoceros may look powerful, weighing more than 2,000 kilograms, but even a giant like this faces problems that strength alone cannot solve. This enormous animal spends most of its day searching for fresh grass, cool water, and safe places to rest. Thick gray skin protects it from thorny bushes and the harsh African climate. Its massive horn can defend against predators, and its powerful body commands respect across the savanna. Yet hidden inside the folds of that thick skin is a challenge almost impossible for the rhino to solve alone. Hundreds of tiny dark ticks have quietly settled across its neck, shoulders, ears, and upper back. Each one is incredibly small, but together they create constant irritation. The rhino cannot easily reach these areas. It rubs against rough tree trunks, it walks through tall grass, it rolls in dry dust, but many of the tiny parasites remain hidden deep within the folds of its skin. To anyone watching from a distance, the rhino appears perfectly healthy. But nature often hides its biggest challenges in the smallest places. The giant pauses beside an old acacia tree and presses its shoulder against the rough bark. Slowly it scratches back and forth, hopping to ease the constant irritation. Small clouds of dust drift into the warm morning air, but when the rhino steps away, many tiny ticks are still there. The giant continues walking, unaware that, high above, someone has already noticed. Perched quietly on the branch of a nearby acacia tree sits a small red-billed oxpecker. Its sharp eyes carefully follow every movement below. For the rhino, the tiny ticks are an unwanted burden. For the oxpecker, they are an opportunity. Without making a sound, the little bird spreads its wings. An ancient partnership is about to begin. The oxpecker leaves the branch with a smooth and effortless glide. Carried by the warm African air, the tiny bird flies directly toward the giant rhino below. The distance is short, but the partnership it represents is thousands of years old. Within moments, the bird lands gently on the rhino's broad shoulder. The giant does not react. It does not shake its body. It does not try to chase the bird away. Instead, it calmly continues walking through the golden grasslands. This trust has been earned through generations of coexistence. The oxpecker carefully begins its inspection. Step by step, it moves across the thick folds of the rhino's skin. Its sharp eyes search every crease, every fold, and every hidden corner where tiny ticks may be waiting. Soon, the bird finds the first one. Using its narrow red beak, it carefully removes the tiny tick before moving on to the next. Then another, and another. The work is slow, precise, and surprisingly effective. For the oxpecker, each tiny tick is a valuable meal. For the rhino, every tick removed means a little less irritation and a little more comfort. As the morning continues, the bird works tirelessly across the rhino's shoulders and neck. Areas that the rhino could never properly inspect on its own slowly begin to receive attention. Nature has created a partnership where both animals benefit. Neither animal controls the other. Neither animal dominates the other. Yet both depend on the relationship in their own way. Soon, a familiar call echoes through the savanna. Another red-billed oxpecker appears overhead. The second bird circles once before landing gently beside the first. Now there are two. Together, they begin searching different areas of the rhino's body. One focuses on the shoulders. The other inspects the ears and upper back. Their movements seem perfectly coordinated, almost as if they have done this thousands of times before. And in many ways, they have. As the birds continue working, something begins to change. The rhino no longer rubs itself against nearby trees. It pauses less frequently. Its movements become smoother and more relaxed. The giant continues walking through the grasslands with a confidence that was missing earlier in the morning. Around them, life continues across the African wilderness. Zebras graze peacefully in the distance. Giraffes move slowly between scattered acacia trees. Bright kingfishers fly above a nearby watering hole. And somewhere far away, a fish eagle calls across the open plains. Everything appears calm. Everything appears balanced. But for one giant rhino, the day is already becoming much better. The African sun climbs higher into the sky as the giant rhino slowly makes its way across the endless grasslands. Every step now looks more confident than before. The constant scratching has almost disappeared, and the heavy animal moves with a calm rhythm through the warm morning light. The two oxpeckers continue their careful work without stopping. One bird searches around the rhino's shoulders, while the other carefully inspects the thick folds behind its ears and along its upper back. Their sharp eyes miss almost nothing. Every few seconds, another tiny dark tick is gently removed before the birds continue searching for the next one. The rhino seems completely comfortable with their presence. It no longer notices the birds walking across its body. Instead, it simply continues its journey. This remarkable relationship has fascinated wildlife researchers for generations. Although the oxpeckers receive food by finding tiny parasites, the rhino gains something equally valuable, help reaching areas that are almost impossible to clean alone. Nature rarely wastes energy. Every partnership has a purpose. Ahead, the shimmering surface of a watering hole appears beneath the bright African sky. The rhino slowly approaches the cool water, while the oxpeckers remain perfectly balanced on its broad back. Nearby, a family of elephants quietly drinks from the edge of the pond. A group of zebras grazes peacefully across the opposite bank. Several giraffes move gracefully between scattered acacia trees. Above the water, colorful dragonflies dance through the sunlight, while bright kingfishers dive toward the surface in search of fish. For a few peaceful moments, the African wilderness seems perfectly balanced. The rhino lowers its massive head and drinks slowly. Cool water reflects the bright blue sky as gentle ripples spread across the surface. The oxpeckers never stop working. Even while the rhino drinks, they continue carefully searching through the folds of its thick skin. One by one, another tiny tick disappears. Then another. Then another. After several minutes, the rhino lifts its head once again. Its movements are calm, relaxed, confident. As it begins walking away from the watering hole, a young rhino calf quietly steps out from behind a nearby bush. The curious youngster watches the tiny birds riding on the giant's back. For a moment, it simply stands there, watching, learning. Perhaps one day, these same